Hello, everyone. We are live here for Tuesday Talks. Now, today we have another amazing guest called Umar Hameed. Umar Hameed is an expert in changing individual behavior and improving team dynamics. Also, he uses techniques and tools from the world of applied neuroscience and NLP. He's helped thousands of salespeople to crack their mental blocks and become exceptionally great. Tuesday Talks is all about getting to know an individual from an industry and finding out what makes them tick. What do they care about? How has their career reflected that? And, what motivates them and what keeps them going? And that's what it's all about. Let's get Omar on here and let's see if we can.
Hi, Omar. How are you doing?
I am doing excellent. A little bit of panic there when we got disconnected for a moment. It's like, oh my God, what is going on? But happy to be here.
No, thank you very much for taking the time out to join us on Tuesday Talks. I don't know if you got to hear the introduction or not. I've done a little introduction about you already, but you're the best person to justify it a bit more and expand on it. So let the audience know who you are, what you do, and the biggest question of all, which is on everybody's mind, why do you do it, Omar?
Okay, so it's going to be a shocker, but hi, everyone. My name is Umar, and my mission in life is really to help people take charge of their lives. And I'll tell you more about that journey, how I got here. But literally every day, the joy of what I do is very much, how do we help people around us? Because when I look around me, I'm actually at a client's office. We just had lunch, so we rushed into the conference room. Can I please use your conference room for an interview? And of course, they said yes. So I came in, but I'm looking outside. There's a parking lot full of cars. And I don't know any of those people, but I do know something with certainty. Three things. Number one, everyone has a car. No, that's just a joke. I know with certainty that a lot of people out there that own those cars, that there's a better version of them inside them, that they have not reached their full potential. And part of their journey in life is, how do I reach my full potential? And a lot of them are actually living smaller lives than they should for whatever reason, things that happen in their childhood, things that happen where they kind of got this inner voice that says you're not good enough. If you were taller, you would be more successful. If you were shorter, a lot of people say, I'm too good looking. People don't take me seriously. Or others, I'm too, if I was better looking, I'd get this break. So they've got this sense of where they are and where they think they can be. But I want you to know, wherever they think they could be, there's a higher version of them out there. And
Mm.
because of their limited thinking, they're even dreaming smaller dreams. Breaks my heart every time I see that. The second thing is this. There's probably about 60 cars I can see out there, and there's probably hundreds out there in the parking lot that I can't see, that if they were all here before us right now, and I said, I am going to wave my magic wand and you will all speak the truth. And I said, would the people that think they're unlovable please raise their hand? And more freaking hands would go up than you would possibly imagine. You're like, you, Susan, oh my God, you got this amazing family and you got this husband and you got this life, and you feel that you're unlovable. It breaks my heart because Susan is lovable. And so the question is, how does that happen? How do we go from being these powerless, dumb babies that go, I can do anything. I'm going to learn to walk. This big head that I cannot even lift up at some point is going to guide me to do these amazing things. And by the way, these two chumps, mom and dad, I'm going to wrap them around my finger, because you know what? 3 months ago, if they saw poop, they would like cringe and run away. But I get them to clean my poop whenever I want. Like, as babies, we see the world as opportunity. And when we're, young kids, it's like you're a 2-year-old. You want something, nothing in the world's gonna fricking stop you. Not your like giant parents or what's going on. It's like, I want this. If I don't get it like by being cute, if I don't get it by asking, I'll go on the floor and kick and scream. Whatever I need to do, baby, I'm gonna do to get it. So as babies, as toddlers, we were powerful beyond imagination. Just think about it. All the other babies in the animal kingdom is like, I am born and I'm standing up, I'm grazing, I'm feeding with my mom, we're walking around, it's a nice day. Babies, boom, a lump that has to be protected. But somehow we learn how to walk, how to think. We know how our mother thinks when we're 4 or 5. When you were 4 and 5, I bet you knew, depending on what you wanted, which parent to ask and how to ask it. Brave, fearless souls. And then somewhere on that journey, we start to doubt ourselves. And we'll talk about that more a little later on, why that happens. But really, that is what I want to change in the world, is every single human being watching this in that parking lot before me deserves to shine. And I don't want them to shine just for themselves, which they deserve. But when you shine, dear listener, viewer, when you shine, something amazing happens. Is that you give permission to all the people around you to go, maybe I can stop being humble and going, gee shucks, oh, that thing, that's, never mind. It's like, no, I want you to embrace your awesomeness, not to be an egomaniac and say, oh, me king, you loser. None of that bullshit. But I want you to shine and say, I own that. Art, I love art. I am really, really good at it. Or business, I adore business. Step into it. Most people are like humble on one side, or other people are like, I was having lunch with a client, and I do a lot of interviews with realtors, and I was interviewing this realtor, and I said, that guy was really amazing. And the guy I was having lunch with says, really, what's his name? And he brought up his phone and he looked at his stats for the last 3 years. And he wasn't as amazing as he told me he was, which is just that human need to, I need to look prettier than I am to other people. I'm smarter, I'm funnier, I'm more successful than I am. And the question is, why do we do that? Have I done it? Absolutely 100%. This is just a secret. The reason God invented spouses is to tell you the truth. And my wife would tell me, Umar, you're not as funny as you think you are. And I was heartbroken. No, that can't be true, but apparently it is true. And so, so this dilemma of, I want to have an illusion that I show the world, this is who I am. I'm smarter than I am, I'm prettier than I am, I'm funnier than I am, or I'm more humble than I am. I'm actually a very humble person, or whatever bullshit we're telling people. And then they have the people on the other side, which is more tragic. It's like, I'm a victim. Nothing ever goes right. People are out to get me. It's just a journey of heartache and shame. And then we have something else. That's the one face we show the outside world, either better than or less than. Then we have this sense of who we are. This is who I am. And usually this is not accurate. So we've got this dilemma. We've got this face we're showing the outside world. Look at me, I'm pretty, intelligent, amazing, or I'm tragic, but this is who I think I am. So we have to balance the two, right? It's like, this is who I think I am, and this is who I'm pretending I am. It takes a lot of effort. It doesn't take any effort to remember the truth, but it takes a lot of effort to juggle all the lies you've been telling people. And so there's like a lot of stress there and a lot of disconnection there. And then there's a third space, just to complicate it all, that there is an inner you, the authentic you. And most of us don't know who that person is. And you're like, Umar, what are you talking about? I'm 33 years old and I've got 33 years of ignorance, because it takes work, not a lot of work. It takes work to find out who you truly are. And once you figure out who you truly are and you embrace that, then you don't have this delusion of who I think I am. That just gets replaced with who I am. So there is no more stress between. So here's what's happening is that when we don't know who we are and we have the illusion of who we think we are, there's a disconnect between the two, because This is who I think I am. The rules of engagement for life are these rules, but they're not the accurate rules because I'm actually over here. So we violate these rules that really count because you don't know what they are. And when we violate these rules, something tragic happens. So I'm going to take a time out here and I'm going to share a thought with you. And you're probably going, Umar, I asked you, why do you do what you do? I promise I will get there. So we are each born with a cup.
Mm-hmm.
A cup that's filled with sacred oil. In fact, it isn't filled, it's brimming. A cup that's brimming has a dome of liquid on it that is precariously balanced with the structure of the cup. And when we lie, and by lie is because we think this is who I am and these are the values that I must maintain, but we actually have an inner version of who we are, the most authentic version, and we violate these rules not even knowing that water gets put in the cup. And as soon as the first drop of water hits that brimming dome of precious oil, it shatters the tension there and all that oil dribbles down the cup. But that water goes to the bottom of the cup because water is heavier than oil and it pushes more oil out. And the more we lie, and certainly there's lies like, I am the most attractive person you've ever seen. That is a lie. And I know I'm lying, and no harm, no foul, because you're not believing me either. But when I have internal values of who I am, and let's say friendships are sacred to me, and in this version of who I think I am, they're important. So sometimes I'll go, if I kind of do this thing, it's not too bad. It doesn't violate this thing, but it violates the other one. More water goes into that cup. And pretty soon, most people are actually operating with a cup that's half or more filled with water with very little oil on top. And that oil gives you resiliency, gives you the ability to keep going when you need to, gives you the ability to be authentic, gives you the ability to connect with others, gives you the ability to love yourself. And you can't love yourself if you're half filled with freaking water.
Mm-hmm.
So when we figure out who we are, that's part of our journey, what our purpose is, what our values are, what our big spheres are, all of those fundamental stuffs that we can talk about later. When we figure all of that stuff out, then we don't need this delusion of who we think we are. We actually become, this is who I think I am, this is who I really am, and we don't violate our values and beliefs, and that cup starts filling up with precious oil and the water starts getting ejected. And then when you get confident enough, this is who you show the outside world. So there's one person in front of 10,000 people. There's one person flying in a plane with a seatmate. There's one person sitting down on this interview, talking with you because a legitimate person is with you today. And you can feel when I'm on and I'm trying to impress, like it'll all sound amazing because I'm freaking amazing. But if I was being inauthentic, some part of your being, dear viewer and listener, is going to go, something not quite right here. I like Umar, but there's something not right because I'm not being authentic. But when I can be myself and know who I am, that's who I think I am, that's who I am, and that's who I portray. And something amazing happens that people around me, people around people that are authentic, feel safe. Because there isn't those three positions that most people have. So if we could get all those people in the parking lot, one of them is actually driving away now. She must be kind of quite upset with my presentation. Don't go! So for all of those people, if they could be their authentic selves, that they would have a more fulfilling life because they know why they're on planet Earth. Maybe the job they're doing isn't 100% in alignment with who they are. Let's say the job is in that direction, but they could tweak it a bit to get closer, and that would be enough to keep them going. Or they could say, I'm going to stop that. I'm going to start building a business. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to go traveling. I am going to take some time off and spend it with my children because they need me, because I've been absent. I've been coming home every night. I've been spending the weekends, but my mind has been somewhere else, and they can freaking feel it. The dog can feel it. I can feel it, and I'm going to actually be there for them without any other agenda other than I love them and I want to be there. So that is what I want for the world. So the question you asked was, Umar, why on earth would you do something like that? Here's why. When I was 3, we moved from Pakistan and immigrated to England. And when we went there, my dad fell in love with the West. Everything the West was first world and amazing, so much so that he changed his name from Abdul Hameed to Joe Hameed. Fully indoctrinated, which is perfectly fine. But my mother was like, hold on, sailor. Don't forget our culture, where we come from. That's important too. And so it's created friction between the two. And my dad sent my mom and me back to Pakistan. And after a few years said, I want my son to come live with me. And men in that culture have all the power. So my mom basically put me on a plane and I came to live with my dad. And my mom got so despondent that she would not see me again, that one day she couldn't take it and she poured gasoline on herself and lit a match. And it took her 3 days to pass. And I was, a world away. And that emotionally shut me down. But somewhere deep in the recesses of this kid, it was, if I was there for her, that wouldn't have happened. Is that true? Maybe. But there's a syndrome that happens that a friend of mine said, you know what you are, Umar? And I go, what? Handsome, perhaps? She said, no, not handsome. You are a wounded warrior. So what's that? She says, when you have a wound in childhood, then you become a warrior, helping other people overcome that. And because of what happened to your mom, this is why you do what you do right now, is to empower people that they would have the mindset they need to not lose hope. But it's transformed from that, which is like vital, to something that's even more critical. All those people with the cars around me that are somewhere around here, many of them are living smaller lives than they should. And when they live smaller lives, they remove happiness and joy at the level they could be enjoying. They lose their contribution to the world that they could be doing because of that. People around them, their kids, when they tell them, honey, you could do anything you want to do. If you want to be prime minister, if you want to start a business, you can do all of that. But kids don't give a shit about what you say. But they sure as hell look at what you do. They model what you do. And when they see you're talking a good game here, but you're actually doing this, they pay attention to that. And that's what defines who they are. Take a break here. I'm going to go to another subject, come back. The Queen of England passed. And there's a quote from her that I quite like. Somebody had asked her, how did you learn how to become a queen? And she said, well, like a monkey, which is kind of very regal, right? I watched my parents be, monarchs, and I learned from them by watching them. And I think that's what we need to learn is it's not what we say, it's what we do is what people pay attention to, especially those sneaky little people that we call children, our children. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I do what I do, is to change the world. And so in 2003, I left kind of my real work that I was doing, like Silicon Valley sales, marketing kind of stuff. And I said, okay, instead of high tech, let's go to brain tech. Let's help people. And from 2003 to 2018, that's what I did. And in 2018, my wife got diagnosed with cancer. And so for 18 months, she went from being a healthy, vibrant person to exiting at month 18. And what was interesting was this, is that, 3 years after she had passed, I had this thought, if I stay in this house where we both lived, with my comfortable clients and my comfortable life and my comfortable house, have I made an impact in the world? And the answer was no. I've not made an impact in the world. Seeing some comments here. Nice. Have I made an impact in the world? And the answer was no. Do people love me? Absolutely. Have I made a difference in people's lives? For sure. Have I made an impact in the world? And the answer was no. And so I said, you know what the ancients did? The ancients went on a quest. So this was April last year. And so I said, okay, I'm going to put my house on the market. And what am I going to do with all my stuff? I could put it in storage and it will stay there for 5 years, costing me money every month. Or I could just get rid of it all. And so I gave away everything, sold some stuff, and take a time out. I'm going to come back to this in a second. So your best guess, how many items does the average American have in their house, like a family, do you think? What do you think that number is?
Well, in regards to what, sofa, chair, bed, and all that?
8 forks, knives, socks, underwear. How many things do
Yeah.
you think the average American household has?
Well, average household of four, we probably, yeah, looking at, yeah, 8 forks and 8 knives and all that, right? Yeah, yeah.
So what
Maybe,
number? Think of a large number. Just pop it out. I'll tell you the right answer.
yeah, let's say in total that would be like around 1,000, let's say.
300,000 items.
300,000. Wow.
So it's like if you take a look at all the socks you have, all the shoes. My wife had shoes, let me tell you. But anyway, we just have a lot of stuff, and you have art on your freaking walls, like this art behind you, which is really amazing. But the question is, when did you stop looking at it? Like it's there. I was looking at stuff in my house so when I really thought about what was important, so I kept 10 t-shirts, 2 of these, 2 pairs of jeans, a backpack, technology, because you can't live without technology. I kept my car so when I come back to North America, but literally what would fit in the trunk of the car is what I kept. Everything else went. I kept 1 piece of art that was meaningful to me that I thought looked beautiful. And all the other pieces were like, I didn't even realize that was on my wall. I saw it every day, but I didn't appreciate it. So I got rid of everything and I went on a quest. And a month and a half, 2 months into the quest, I realized I know what my mission is. My mission is to bring more happiness in the world. If we could bring more happiness in the world, that would be freaking amazing. And so that's what the path I started going on. But somewhere deep down for a long time, I've noticed that somewhere deep within me is a fear that is so deep I can't even identify it. But I got to get there. If I could figure out what that was, that would allow me to really achieve the full potential that I have. And so it took me 16 months to find it. And what I ended up finding was this. What I ended up finding was a fear of not being good enough, which is like, are you kidding me? I've spoken in 16 countries, I've done these amazing things, but yet somehow deep down within, I have this thought that I'm not good enough. And when I overcame that fear, once I identified it, something magical happened. 2 things. Number one, here's an example of how the change happened, is you and I are talking and you say the word masquerade. You don't want to masquerade. And then all of a sudden that song from George Benson comes up, Masquerade. And I start freaking singing it now. And so this is like a joyousness and a freedom that's happened because I overcame that deep fear. But more importantly, and the reason I bring it up to this conversation is I realize it isn't about happiness. Life isn't about happiness. What life is about is love. So here's what I mean by that. So I'm kind of obsessed with tennis these days. And so I'm playing tennis, and as I'm on the tennis court playing, and kind of my fellow partner and semi-coach he makes a comment, Umar, you're trying too hard. And it's like, well, what do you mean trying too hard? I didn't do that, but I was thinking it. And then I said, okay, because I was like being aggressive. I was hitting the ball hard. I was trying to win a point, and I was missing a lot of the shots. And then I said, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fall from my thinking and fall into a state of love. And I just said, why don't you fall into love? And I just dropped down into love. And instantly, the game slowed down for me as a perception. I stopped trying to hit the ball and I started guiding the ball. I'm going to send it on that corner. I'm going to send it over here. And all of a sudden, I started being more strategic, more powerful, more thoughtful, and the effort was gone. It was just a state of being. Then I said, okay, that's kind of interesting. I'm going to cook a meal for my nieces. And I had to cook in this, well, between you and me, maybe 5 dishes I'm really freaking amazing at. The rest of it is probably going to die of food poisoning. So I'm making one of the dishes that I'm good at. And as I'm making that dish, I said, what if I drop down into a place of love when I cook this meal? How would that change things? Instantly. The joy for cooking for my family just blossomed into something amazing. I was fully present in the cutting, in the preparing, in the conversation, in the effortless, in the joy. So if I stepped into love in the conversation we're having right now, that I would realize that the tone of my voice has changed. It's gone down a little bit. I'm talking a little bit slower. I'm actually thinking about what I'm about to say because everything else we've been doing has been on autopilot. And I'm noticing around me it's actually raining. I knew it was raining before, but I can actually see the raindrops now. And I realized that I could ask people that are viewing this, whoever's viewing this, or for you, what is something that I could help you understand that would make you, give you some insights that you need? How could I be of service to you? And so this is what I discovered on this journey. By the way, those are all legit questions. Anybody viewing this, if there's a question you've got about what's happening in your life or something that you need articulated, put it in the comments below and I'll address that. And if you have something coming up as the host, because you're the strong, silent type, and if we did that, what would that be for you? And my AirPods are yours, so hopefully we're still talking over here. If you can hear me, nod your head.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, excellent. So what that did was this, is I've written 3 books in the past, but the new book that I'm writing, October and November are going to be research months. Then in December, I'm going to write a book that's going to be 3 inches by 3 inches, just a small little book that teaches you one simple thing: how to drop down into a state of love. And just think about this. Let's say, dear viewer, you're going on a date with someone that you care for deeply, your wife. You've been married for 10 years. You're going to go out for dinner and you're going to be yourself. Don't do that. Shows you how to drop into a state of love. Like, not as in, I love you and I want to please you, which is very nice. But what if you could just drop down into a place of love, which is a state of being without agenda? And then you get to love for your significant other, that you would show up on that date with your wife and she would say, where is the real you? Like, something's different here. And just imagine if we could get people to do that. If we could get people to go into their relationships truly dropping down into love. Not that I love you, because I love you sometimes has an agenda. Because I am going to love you more. As soon as you're more loving, I will be more loving. As soon as you're more caring, I'll be loving. Or I want to be more caring, not because I want to, because I want you to give me something. All of that transactional bullshit gets out of the way. Let's say you do a business presentation and instead of going to kind of win the contract, which I want you to do, that you drop down into a place of love, that you'd be able to actually see what's happening for the audience that you're presenting to. And you'd be able to see, oh, this guy isn't really getting it. So let me just kind of see what's going on there, that you would be fully present to be able to do that. Let's say you were working out, that instead of 50 reps I'm going to do, and then all of a sudden it's just like, what does this feel like when I do that? And all of a sudden you get more benefit out of it. You get to see, so that's the book I want to write. And that's what happened for me. So the tragedy of my mom passing away sent me down a certain path. The loss of a wife, 27 years, sent me on a path to really say, okay, how can I bring more value to the world around me? Because the way I see it is we have
I have probably 30 years left on planet Earth. Am I going to squander it? And if I squander it, it's going to be freaking amazing. I've got a pretty decent quality of life and I get to do fun things. But did I make an impact? The answer would have been no. Now what I'm looking for is how do we help more people become their authentic selves?
Mm-hmm.
So before I go into lecture 2, any questions coming up?
So I don't see any questions coming up here, but what I wanted to say there as well was, thank you very much for being vulnerable and sharing that amazing journey of yours. What I'm also hearing is, although you're working on your third book and it's going to be all about love in terms of being your authentic self when you're being in love, and when you were saying, be the authentic self, in the recent years, that word has been thrown about quite often, into places, and I sometimes think that it's lost its authentic meaning to as well, right? But listening to you now, I can see there are still few of us who actually know what that really means, and we are now bringing it back to the people who are saying, right, this is what the real authentic you means, and this is how you can be it, as in what the word just gets thrown about everywhere like a ball on a tennis court, right?
Let me kind of define it. This is what I mean by authentic self, is that we all have a sense of our values, but if we took the time to really think about it and say, these are my values, and people say, okay, that's really amazing, your values, and all of that is bullshit. Here's why it's bullshit. Because knowing your values isn't enough. You need to know the criteria. What would I be able to see, hear, or physically touch that would let me know that I'm honoring this value? And most people have never taken the time to do that. So let's say it's my value is fun. That I want to have fun in my company. And how would I know I'm having fun? What would I be able to see, hear, or physically touch? Number one, there'd be lots of laughter. When we're getting together, there's laughter with our clients, with ourselves. We're being silly, that we would know that we feel joy. We would know that inspires us to be more creative and come up with new ideas. So all of a sudden I start defining what fun is. I define it very crystal clear. And the reason I go is, what will I be able to see? What will I be able to hear? I'd be able to hear laughter. I'd be able to see smiles. I'd be able to see excitement of people kind of coming together and doing that. So we need to define our values and the criteria to understand who we are. And that for the cup is how we don't violate that cup and we got more oil in and get the water out. The other thing is every single human being on planet Earth has a purpose in life. And most of us don't know what it is. And once we know our purpose, we can align our career on our purpose, because nobody is in the opposite direction of their purpose. This has never happened in the history of humanity. We're going to be in some spectrum between here and here. And if you take a look at, if this is what my purpose is and this is what I'm actually doing, there is an X component and a Y component. And the Y component is going in the direction of my purpose. This is the joy in what we do. This is what keeps us going. And on the other component, if the line is going this way, this is the X component. This is what we tolerate. And when what we tolerate becomes intolerable, we change jobs and go, oh my God, I got to work for IBM. IBM is the best thing. I got to go there. And they finally go to IBM and they're so excited to tell everyone, oh, I work for IBM. It's the job I wanted. It's amazing. And then you reach out 3 months later. How's it going? Well, I thought it would be better in this because they found another job that didn't align with their purpose. It might be closer to their purpose. But one purpose is you can align to your purpose. And when you do that, something freaking amazing happens. What happens is this. Happens is, let us go over here. We are looking at, if it comes.
Yeah, you're okay.
Okay, so we're back on these. It charged pretty quickly. So when you live on purpose, something amazing happens. When you live on purpose, this is what happens. That every day is a freaking joyous day because you're doing what you were always meant to do. On a day that you get kicked in the balls and you come home and it's like, I love this day. It was a terrible day, but I enjoyed every single moment of it because I'm doing what I was meant to do. This gives you passion. This gives you clarity. This gives you certainty. And then, and only then, when you pick goals in life, you don't pick a goal. This is my purpose. I'm going to pick a goal way over here. This never happens. You're going to go, I'm going to pick a goal on my purpose further ahead. And then every single ounce of your being is focused on attaining that goal. Not because I got to have that goal. It's like, this is a milestone on my journey, on my purpose. And this is not effort. This is joy and commitment to that. And that's what we need to do, is when we know our purpose, we can align to it. When we know our values, we don't violate them, we strengthen them. And then we go down to, what are the fears that hold you hostage to the life that you have right now? And when you're strong in that way, you can go down that path. And that's what I do for clients, is help them figure out what are the fears that stop them from executing it the way that they want. And when we start removing those fears, they accelerate down that purpose line towards their goals and beyond. Then we show them, okay, how do you access the most powerful version of yourself in alignment with your purpose? And then the beast mode comes out, and then you actually start doing things that people go, oh my God, how the hell did you do that? Most people take this long to do it. You did it in this long. And yeah, it was hard work, but every day was joyous because I was doing what I was meant to do. And I think that's what we need people to do, is if they could find their authentic selves, they would actually build a life around that. And if they built a life around that, it could be like, son, you want to be an artist? Go be a freaking artist. You want to be a scientist? Be a scientist. But find your passion, find your alignment, find your purpose, and go make a difference in the world. Most of these cars in the parking lots, most of those people don't know what it is. Do they have good lives? Absolutely. Do they have kids? Yup. Do they have jobs? Absolutely. One thing I know for sure, they've got a car, but just imagine if they could be fully realized human beings, that they would be freaking amazing. They would shine. They would give permission to all the people around them to shine as well. And we would start changing the world. When I shine and I'm happy and I'm motivated and I'm making a difference in the way that I want, I tend not to be a dick. I don't need to be mean to anybody else to prove my self-worth. In fact, I have more compassion for people, that I have the ability to help people in a more meaningful way. And I can do it by being selfless. And I'll tell you one of those stories because it's kind of a magical kind of story. I was in Lisbon because I've been homeless. I'm traveling. Might as well go to freaking Portugal. And so I'm at a park, and there's these benches around the park, and all of them are in the direct sunlight. And it's a hot day, and there's one bench that's in the shade, and there's a woman sitting there. And I go over and say, excuse me, miss, do you mind if I share the bench with you? This is the only one in shade. So she scoots over on one side, I scoot over on the other side, and then I close my eyes to meditate because I really want to think about the things I want to think about. And I feel a shift in the bench, and I peek over at her, and she's meditating as well. I go, huh, isn't that nice? And as I'm meditating, I get this thought, I need to connect with this woman. And so as I come out of my meditation, she's out of hers, and we're chit-chatting a little bit. And I said, you know, tell me about a day 2 years in the future that's a perfect day for you. What would be happening? And she describes this perfect, immaculate day for her 2 years in the future. And as we're chit-chatting, she tells me about this person that she was dating, but he left Paris and he moved to Amsterdam and they broke up. Tells me about her dad, that they had a challenged life together, but the last year of his life, he got sick. They became really close. And as she's telling me that, and also he died on her birthday, that her eyes well up with tears. And I go, you know, it sounds like there's some unresolved issues there. And if you want, I could help you find resolution to that. Can I help you figure that stuff out? And she goes, okay, but I've only got 20 minutes. And I said, oh, that's fine. I said, I'm going to hypnotize you and I'll have you visit with your dad. She goes, okay. And I go, well, no, I'm a stranger. You don't know me. I'm going to hypnotize you in a park. She goes, no, I don't know why I trust you, but I do, but go ahead, do it. And so I put her in a trance and I have her go into a cottage, and she gets a chance to visit with her dad and get the closure that she needed. And then I have her come out of the cottage and said, you know, you're going to open the door, step out of the cottage, then I'm going to count to 3. And when I get to 3, you're going to feel fantastic. And I go, come out of the cottage, 1, 2. And she opens her eyes and goes, there was someone waiting for me outside of the cottage. And I go, really? Who was waiting for you? Mr. Amsterdam. And I want to go to him, but I don't say that. I go, really? What do you think that means? And I should reach out. I go, maybe you should. And so I get a call from her 2 days later saying, Umar, I say, yup. She goes, guess where I am? No idea. I'm in Amsterdam. And so that's what I want to share with your listeners today is this, is that there is a better version of you inside you. It's your journey in life to uncover that authentic you. And when you do that, something miraculous happens, is that you get a more fulfilling, happy life. It doesn't take a lot to get there. Like literally, we're guiding people on this coaching program that takes them from being who they are, which is probably pretty amazing and wonderful, to being this person that knows purpose, that is fearless, that is fully aligned with what they want to build. And that's how long it needs to take. You don't need to take a lifetime of searching to get there. So the last thing I want to leave you guys with is this, is we're going to go to quotes in a minute and we'll round out whatever questions you have. But there's a quote from Einstein, which is not my final quote, but one that applies to this. Einstein said, I do not care for simplicity, but simplicity on the other side of complexity is a beautiful thing. And with this logic, he came up with ugly, ugly math that would give a NASA scientist a nosebleed, and came up with E equals MC squared, that any high school student with a calculator can unravel the mysteries of the universe. And that's what I want to bring to the world, is taking this whole mindset and humanness and being stuck to take all the complexity out. So find the simplicity on the other side of complexity that allows you, instead of taking decades of finding and meditating and affirmations, I am beautiful and lovely, and all that bullshit out of the way, and just get down to the ability to get rid of the bullshit, discover who you are, and get a new passion in life and a fire that allows you to build something significant, not just for you, dear listener, but for all the people around you that are waiting for you to inspire them, to give them permission to go on that journey so you can make a bigger impact in your community, in your city, in your state, in your country, and hopefully in the world.
That's an amazing share there, and I love it. And that story in Portugal, that's amazing. You know, because obviously, I thought the dad would have been already. You know, she was going to get closure from the dad, but then the Amsterdam boyfriend was there as well. So it was like,
yeah,
wow,
it's a surprise to me.
So yeah, so I was like, wow, that's amazing. And I know you also you know, help with people with sales and so forth, round of things. So I know you're big on applied neuroscience, right?
Yeah. So
you I think there's a question coming up, but we will. So somebody's asking actually, how do we join the course? So you've got a course that you've just mentioned, right?
yeah, so if you go on Facebook and just find me, I'll send you a link to our Facebook group. And in the Facebook group, it talks about realtors, but it's really about human beings, because we don't talk about the practice. It's all about how do you become braver, stronger. Come join that group and we'll tell you all about it. And so, yeah, you were saying, you were talking about Amsterdam, Mr. Amsterdam, and kind of
yeah. So you're applied neuroscience.
Applied neuroscience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So pretty much what we need to understand is, you know, how do we need an owner's manual for the brain. How do we figure that out? And in October 1st, we've got an app coming out. It's going to be a web app. So it's available on a website. You can view it on any platform. So we're not going through Apple or Android. We're just getting it out to the people. And what that does is it gives you the ability to take charge of your mindset. Right now, there's 55 programs on there. I'll tell you about one of the programs. One of the programs is called Let Go of Work. And here's why I designed that particular teaching you how to take charge of your mindset program. And what it does is it's an audio track that's 6 minutes and 44 seconds long. And you hear my voice guiding you through a process to take charge of your mindset. And this is the problem it's trying to fix, is that dad comes home from work or mom comes home from work. They're with their family, having dinner, spending time together. And everybody around that table knows that dad is physically here, but mentally checked out. They're thinking about tomorrow, work, stresses. Even the freaking family dog knows dad's checked out. But what this track does is dad pulls into the driveway or mom pulls into the driveway at home, clicks on the track, let go of work, and I show them in 6 minutes, 44 seconds, how to drain all the anxiety from the day from your body, how to find the one thing you have to do tomorrow that's the most important, and then something breathtaking. The person gets to re-experience the very first time they fell in love with a significant other, whether that was 3 months ago or 30 years ago, and they fully feel that feeling in their heart and their soul. And back then, the first time you fell in love with your significant other, there was a good part of love, and there was also a part of lust in there as well, which is really important for a relationship. And you fully feel that in your body, and you walk into the house, and you're fully present and loving and engaging with your significant other, with your kids, even the freaking family dog knows that you're there. And that's what we want to do, is to empower people to find their best self, to let go of anxiety, whatever that issue is, that you'll have the power of how you want to feel or act in the palm of your hand on your phone to change how you show up in life. And that's going to be my contribution. And there's going to be a whole section that did not exist because this new mission of finding love. We're going to do a whole new track of love, a whole category that'll be 5 or 6 tracks helping you drop into the place of love so you can show up as a better leader, as a better father, mother, son, daughter, sports person. So my goal is to help you become a better human being, not by telling you what to do, but helping you remove the fear so you can step into who you were always meant to be. And the name of the app is Mindset Boosters. You can find it at mindsetboosters.com.
Mindsetboosters.com. Everybody should just remember that and write it down. This episode will turn into a podcast a bit later on down the line in a few months' time. So if anybody who's listening to this on a podcast version as well, definitely go and reach out to Umar if need be. I'm sure he will be able to guide you to that Facebook group that is there. It's amazing, Umar, what you've just shared there in terms of, just it was very simple yet complicated at the same time as well, right? Because there were so many layers that you've uncovered, there. And I was just in awe. And okay, these layers are there, and these are the layers that we tend to hide away from, or put it under the blanket. So we put it away and just get on with the day, what we need to do, and so forth. And then one day it becomes a time when it accumulates, and that's what the example you were using of the cup being filled with water, and your oil is no longer there,
depleted,
right?
Yeah.
So it's just gone, and what's left is just water, and the water is not doing anything for you because the oil was needed to create that resistance, to create that fire that you're supposed to burn, that light, right? Which is within you, and then it's amazing to hear all that from you. And thank you very much for sharing such an amazing journey. Also, the vulnerability from your mom's story to your wife as well. Very, very sad to hear that. But it is what made you, and hence you are here to help everybody. Every sadness has something
blessing
to create. A blessing there, exactly. So that's amazing. So we should be wrapping this up now in regards to what we were doing. And there's been, I think I'm sure you've gained quite a few here that will come and download that stories, because I was looking at it and they wanted to know where it is, and you've mentioned it already. So if you now wanted to wrap this up and say, what would you like to say to everybody before we say wrap this up
Goodbye.
and say bye to everybody. Yeah.
Brilliant. So you deserve to be loved. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to find the authentic you and just build a freaking amazing life. And that is my highest wish for everyone, is to become the person you were always meant to be. Remember that baby stage? You could do anything you wanted. Find what you really need to build, not what other people think, and go build that life. And that would make me the happiest. And we're going to put a link in once this finally goes live on it's letting go of past events that haunt you. There's a simple technique to let go of that. We'll put a link in there for that. It's going to change your life. And thank you so much for allowing me to be on the show and just sharing some ideas that make the world a better place.
No, the pleasure is all mine. Thank you very much for taking the time and sharing these amazing journeys and aha moments for everybody else. So everybody who's watching this on Instagram now live or now listening to this as a podcast a bit later, if you had an aha moment and you were like, wow, this is something, why didn't I know it sooner? Or you just had a spark in yourself. It's our duty now to share this episode with somebody else. If somebody just popped it into your mind, send this episode to them, tag them in the post, however that is possible for you, just do that. Because what we need to do is we shouldn't keep the spark within us. It's our duty to share it with others, because we don't know who's woken up or gone to bed, thinking of a better day. And if you had a spark by just this episode, it might create that spark in them as well. And the spark is all what we need to create that fire and get on, creating the life that we want. And surely this episode will help a lot of people if there has been sparks created with the listeners that have been listening to it. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much,
Umar.
guys. Have a great day. Cheers. Bye now.
Okay. Bye-bye.